there's so much influence that the brand has to change the world.
Today we're welcoming the boss, my boss, Sarah Kate Ellis, President and CEO of GLAAD. Thank you for spending some time with me today.
I'm so thrilled to be here.
Being President and CEO of GLAAD, was that always on your bingo card in your professional career?
I never saw it coming. I never saw it coming, and then I should have always seen it coming. In that same respect, I was always an advocate and activist in my life from an early age. I felt I was always for the underdog, always defending who was being unfairly treated. But I loved media, and I had a career in media for 2 decades. Um, and then when my wife and I had our kids, I realized I needed more, to do more, to give back to my community more. And then this position, like everything lined up, and I ended up at GLAAD, and it was the perfect thing because for me, it's my love of media, my love of my community, and I get to do that every day. So it's more of a calling than any kind of career path or job.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more myself, and I'm definitely coming into this space with the idea and respect for there's so much that GLAAD does, and there's so much that GLAAD does that no one else does, is what really is inspiring and moving for me. But do you have a core memory in your last few years of leading GLAAD where that's the case, that you kind of reacted in the sense of like, well, I can't believe that not only GLAAD is doing this, but we're the only ones doing this work?
I think one of the most significant moments that I realized that was after the 2016 election. I quickly realized that if we weren't out there in the media as the voice for the LGBTQ community, it was not there. Or it was worse, it was really negative. And so it was, prior to that election, we had 8 years of a very, very friendly administration that understood who we were and that we were fighting for our acceptance and equality. And that door slammed shut very quickly. And so we didn't have news and rapid response. We didn't need it at the time. So within a week of after the election of 2016, we re-upped our news and rapid response team because we needed to hold the administration accountable in a way that we hadn't had to before. So I think that was one of those places that it really hit me.
And when we talk about truth and authenticity, take me back a little bit, if you would. At what point in your life and career did you feel like you could be your full and authentic self?
When I started my career, I was very much in the closet. I was out to my family and my friends, obviously, outside of work, but it was kind of my last job in publishing. And I realized that I couldn't move forward as a leader if I wasn't true and authentic and real. I felt sort of like I was a liar. And so I came out then, and that was 15 years in. Um, yeah. And you work very, work. I love to work. I loved my roles in magazines, and we worked really closely together. I was always playing the pronoun name, but even when I did come out finally, it was like a big weight was lifted from my shoulders. But you have to constantly be coming out, right? And
Yeah,
so it took a while, and it wasn't the worst environment, but it wasn't the most accepting environment.
sure.
And so it took us several years for me to really feel okay in myself in the media world. And then I ended up being the co-chair of the out group, and it really it unleashed me in a way, in a really positive way, because then I could be who I was.
It reminds me of becoming the chief gay at ABC for a while, also, after so many years of kind of hating that part of your life.
Right. Well, or hiding.
Or hiding, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what was young Sarah Kate like, I wonder?
The same as old Sarah Kate. I, I've always been ambitious. I've always been a big dreamer. I've always been impatient. Um, and I continue to be all of those things. And I think that they help us achieve what we're looking to achieve or what we hope to achieve. I do, I'm wiser now. So, I mean, I had all of those qualities and not that smart. I thought I knew everything. Now I know nothing. So I think the wisdom adds a or takes the edge off of those kind of personality traits, if you will.
What would you tell that younger version of yourself today?
To be patient, more patient. I'm super impatient and I'm still catching myself. And I find when I rush things, it doesn't benefit the outcome. It never has had um, a positive effect on an outcome. So I would say be patient. It'll all come. It'll all happen.
How do you keep the forward momentum? This is maybe a self-help question for myself, but there's so much all the time. How do you keep that forward momentum, especially with the work that we are in? It's so deeply personal.
You know, it's so dynamic though, and I live off of that ever-changing environment that the culture changes overnight and we wake up in a different place than we were the day before, or we something news breaks and we're now all over that. That's kind of my oxygen.
Mm.
Um, and but I think also you have to realize you cannot boil the ocean. It's very hard, especially at GLAAD, because there's so much influence that the brand has to change the world that it's you could stay up all day all night doing things to move it forward. And so you really have to remember that you have to take care of yourself because you're no good to the movement, to your team, if you don't take care of yourself.
And I feel like that dovetails into keeping boundaries also, healthy boundaries, taking care of yourself and being able to have a family and having that healthy balance between work, life and work.
Yeah, you know, kids create boundaries for you. That they actually, you know, like you had children to raise them. So at some point you have to go home. And I think that is, they create a natural boundary because I want to be with them. I want to see them. I want to raise them. I want to be a part of their lives. But it is, boundaries are really difficult to achieve and really, really important. And I do try to model that behavior because I do think it's really important. You know, I'm not of the world of like, thinking it's amazing that I haven't taken a vacation all year. Like, I think that's a disaster for everyone who's involved. So I really try to set boundaries as much as I possibly can.
Well, with that boundary setting, the advice to that younger version of yourself, what would you say is your truth, Sarah Kate? Who would you say is Sarah Kate Ellis today?
You know, I think at the end of the day, my um, most proudest accomplishment is being a good wife and parent, and a parent to our community as well, to my kids in the community. Um, so I would say that's my truth. I think it's really simple at the end of the day.
And that's all there is to it. It's just as simple as that. I love it.
Hmm.
Sarah Kate Ellis, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. To see more episodes of Truth Be Told, check us out at Plus Life Media and pluslifemedia.com. Until next time, let your truth be told.